In the last video, we covered 6 different types of CSS selectors. In today's video, we will talk about colors and backgrounds. So far in this CSS tutorial, we saw classes and IDs, divs and span, and 6 CSS selectors. But knowing which colors to use and backgrounds will attract the visitor that is viewing your site. We all know how to color a text. So if I want to color this p element which is inside a class called red, I'll go to my file.css and use the class selector. I'll say .red and say color red. Next I'll say .blue, which is the second p element with the class of blue. I'll say color blue. And let's do one for the green one. So .green and color will be green. And let me fix the name of the class. As you can see, pretty basic. Red, green and blue. But we all heard somehow about RGB, red, green, blue, right? They are values between 0 and 255. Now instead of writing red automatically, I'm going to use RGB. I'm going to say 255, 0, 0. This is the red color. So if I want to go ahead and check, I'll go to my browser, refresh the page and nothing will happen. So basically RGB 255, 0, 0 is the color of red. Why? Because 255 means the most visible. And we know that the first parameter over here is for the red. Then we have green, then we have blue. And because the blue and green parameter are 0, of course the red will show up. Let's do the same thing for the blue color. Instead I'll say RGB, I'll say 0 for red, 0 for green, and blue will be 255. Let's do the same thing for green, so I'll say RGB, red will be 0, 255 for green, and blue will be 0. Let's go ahead and check it out. As you can see, red, green, blue. Now the green got a bit brighter, but still it is green. Now I'm going to use the element selector to select this P element over here. I'm going to go ahead and say P. I'm going to say color, RGB. I'm going to write the RGB of sky blue. So it's going to be 135, 206, and 235. As you can see, this is the color of sky blue. So yes, you can use RGB in CSS. Can we do this for the background? Well, of course. I'm going to go ahead and say body. I'm going to say background color. Let's set this randomly. I'm going to say 209, 130, 45. Okay, so it's around orange, somewhere like this. Well, yeah, we could use RGB in backgrounds. Now, you could play around with the opacity or the transparency of a color by adding rgba. Now, this time inside parentheses, I will add a fourth argument or a fourth input. This will be the A input or alpha. And the alpha value are from 0 and 1. So basically if I say 0.5, as you can see the lightness or the visibility of the red paragraph decreased a bit. Now I'm gonna go ahead and take off the background to see it a bit better. As you can see, it decreased a bit. So when you use RGBA, you can play around with the visibility of the color. Let's do the same thing for blue and green. I'm gonna go ahead and add instead RGB, I'm gonna say RGBA. Now I'm gonna add another parameter. I'm gonna say this time 0.8. As you can see, blue decreased a bit, but because 0.8 is close to 1, 1 means most visible, that means the visibility of blue will decrease a bit. Now for the green one, I'm gonna say RGBA, and I'm gonna say 0.2. What do you think will happen? It will decrease, of course, because 0.2 is close to 0, which is the least visible. That is why we are seeing the color or the text green a bit visible. Of course, you can do the same thing for background. I'm going to say body, background color, RGBA. I'm going to add random colors. Let's say black, so 0, 0, 0. And I'm going to say 0.3. As you can see, it's not black, it's gray actually. Why? Because we decreased the visibility of black. By using the RGBA over here, we decrease the visibility or the transparency of our color. Other than RGB, we have hexadecimal values or hex values. Basically, they are values starting from 0 to 9 and from 10 to 15. They will change to letters like 10 is A, B is 11, C is 12 and so on till F, which is 15. They basically begin with a hashtag, then you'll add 6 values. These values could be numbers from 0 to 9 and letters from A to F. Let's say I want to write the hex values of the azure color. It will be the following. So I'm going to go to this P element. I'm going to say hashtag 0080 and followed by 2 Fs. And basically this is the hex value of the azure color. As you can see, it is composed of 6 values, starting with a hashtag, containing values that are numbers or letters, which means numbers that pass 9, like 10, 11, and so on. In our case, we have 2 Fs, that means 215. I could go ahead and play around with these values. I could just go ahead and say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's go ahead and see which color this is. As you can see, it is around midnight blue, dark blue, but this is the hex value of this color. Now let me write something else. I will say DF, let's say C197. Alright, somewhere around orange, yeah, something orange, and something of course bright. So this is the hex value of this color. How about using the hex value of red? So I could say FF followed by 4 zeros, and this is the hex value of red. Let's go ahead and see. As you can see, it got brighter, and of course this is the hex value of red. And definitely we could use hex values for background. I'm gonna show it to you. I'm gonna write something random. Let's say FD112AB. So we're at 6 values. Let's go ahead and see it. As you can see, the color is a bit pink, or it is pink actually. I don't know, comment down below. Great, now that we know RGB and hex values, let's go ahead and see HSL, which stands for hue, saturation, and lightness. HSL accepts 3 parameters. First, the hue, which is from 0 to 360. Second, the saturation, from 0 to 100%. And the lightness, also in percent. So, if I want the color red, I'm gonna go ahead and go to this class selector. I'm gonna delete this, and I'm gonna say HSL. So it will be 0, and now I'm gonna add the saturation. Let's say 100%, and the lightness, it will be 50%. Okay, I'm gonna take off this annoying background. Okay, as you can see, it is red, perfectly red, so this is the HSL value of red. Let's say I'm gonna go ahead and change the hue to 60. Let's see what we will get. And we got the color yellow. Now if I change the intensity of the color or its saturation, I'm gonna write here 50%. And now let me decrease also the lightness, or how bright the color is, to 25%. Let me change the hue value to, let's say, 143. Now I don't know what exactly this color is. If you guys know, make sure to comment down below, but it seems to me a bit greenish. I don't know. So these are the 4 ways to represent colors in CSS. By writing their name, using RGB or rgba to change the transparency of course, hex values, and HSL. We can also of course use them for backgrounds. But we can do more than that in backgrounds. I'm gonna go ahead and say body, background, of course we say background color and specify the color. Let's say red. Of course the background color will be red. So we can specify the name of the color, RGB, HSL, hex, and all of those stuff. But we can do more than that. Instead of background color, I'm gonna say background image. This time I'm gonna add a image from my folder, from my folder 1. I'm gonna say URL and specify the path of this image. So we're gonna say folder 1, front slash, and I'm gonna say the name of the image, which is testimage.jpg. As you can see, this is the test image, but it is repeating itself. As you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times it is repeating itself. Well, why exactly? So because by default this image is a bit small, so automatically the browser will repeat this image for it to fill the page. That is why. So it will repeat itself multiple times until it fills the width and height of the page, of our HTML page. But we can go ahead in CSS and restrict this repeatingness of this background. I could go ahead and say background repeat and say no repeat. As you can see, the background didn't repeat. It is one picture right now in front of us. But one thing, it is not filling all the width and height of our HTML page. So that's a bit of an issue. Well, how to fix it? We'll go ahead in CSS. So I'm gonna say background size. I'm gonna say cover. What this will do exactly is it will increase the size of the image and fill the page, but it will slightly decrease the quality of this image. As you can see, the image is wide enough to fill up the screen, but one thing, the quality decreased, so make sure to add high quality images in your browser. Of course, we can by not add this cover value, we could say, let's say 50 pixel and 90 pixel. The first value over here, 50 pixel, is for the width, and 90 pixel is for the height. Okay, so let's go ahead and see it. It is very small, so I'm gonna increase the values I'm gonna say 500. Let's say 750 right over here for the height. Yup, it is big enough right now, but of course make sure to play around with these values and see which value will increase the size of the image and make it fill up the page. Alright, that is it on colors and backgrounds in CSS. I hope you enjoyed this video and got some value from it. Make sure to subscribe and follow me along in this CSS tutorial. Thanks for watching, and how about checking out these 8 reasons that are slowing your PC down, which leads to a bad PC experience. Or check out this video about the top 7 mind-blowing technologies that will change the future.